Hello, everyone out there. It is time for another episode of Surrogacy Unwrapped with Mariah and Christy. I am going to work on getting Mariah added now. Give me one moment, please. Hello, Leah. Welcome to the episode. I am hoping that I always feel like it gets really kind of wonky trying to figure out how to add person, but let me try again. Hang on. There she is. Maybe. I think everybody's coming.
Hello, hello.
I don't know why. Sometimes it just is more trickier to get you in as a collaborator.
I know, it never wants to let me.
Uh-uh. I don't know if I'm having user error or what my problem is, but I try. I'm pressing all the
Who knows?
buttons.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Awesome. Well, we can give people a couple minutes to jump on.
In full disclosure, I am watching my children, parenting my children solo, and so I have given them ample warnings to not interrupt during this live and have fed them, given food. But I'm sure, as all us parents know, it's sometimes that's not enough. They still think they need you over
Yeah,
anything and everything. So we're going to cross our fingers that I'm not interrupted, but be
we'll see.
prepared to see 2 to 3 kids under the age of 6.
I love it. I also like watching my children. I'm going to use that more often.
Yes. I felt like I was going to say I'm a single parent, and then I feel like, well, that doesn't always go too well. And then I really don't think that watching them either goes well, but I can't figure out what I want to say right now. I'm solo parenting, but here we are.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see. I don't think for the last couple times I haven't been able to see comments as they come in, so I
Okay.
think I'll let you be
Yes, ma'am. I will keep an eye on that.
the comment person. But yeah, besides that, I mean,
I'm good if you're good.
yeah, I'm ready.
All right,
Awesome.
let's roll.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us for Surrogacy Unwrapped live. I'm Mariah. I'm here with Christy. I am the case manager at Family Choice Surrogacy, and Christy is our wonderful surrogate coordinator. And she's got probably about 10 other titles that could go under that. She does all of the things. So today our topic is a really important but sometimes overlooked topic or part of the surrogacy journey, and that's legal and escrow services. We're kind of going to talk about how agencies handle things, our approach to it at Family Choice, um, and then why we believe in keeping legal and escrow completely separate from our agency. All and not just legal and escrow, actually. Leah, our wonderful founder, is very firm on a lot of our things staying third party,
Mhm.
and for good reason. So being handled by a trusted third party, first of all,
Yes.
and ensuring protection, transparency, and of course ethics
Hmm.
in for both sides, surrogates and intended parents. So
I agree. And escrow and legal, again, those are the ones we're focusing right now. They can be a little scary, and they are heavy components and parts of your journey. And so hopefully after this discussion that we have today, you don't feel so overwhelmed by, the topic of it in general, and that we can help paint a better understanding and picture why we think having these services independent is truly the best way to go.
Mhm. Yeah. Also, my disclosure is that you will hear my dog bark. It is the busiest time of day, and she thinks she's protecting the house. So anytime somebody is simply walking, she will be protecting us. So, um, Christy, starting out before we really get into the full benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Can you tell me what legal and escrow services really are and what they mean in the surrogacy process?
Yep. So we have attorneys involved in a surrogacy journey. When a matched intended parents and surrogates are together, the first time you're really going to involve yourself with the attorney at the time when you're preparing your gestational surrogacy agreement. And I think it's important to know that the intended parents are going to have an attorney and the gestational surrogate is also going to have an attorney, two different people,
Mhm.
but they are both going to be paid for by the intended parents and represent, each of their clients independently. And I think that's important. We're not having someone with the agency who has a
Mhm.
hand in all the pots, if you will.
Mhm.
But having attorneys represent each party is in order to help things be more fair and protecting both the surrogate and the intended parent. Again, everybody's got their own client. There's no mixed messaging or conflict of interest. Um, so that's attorneys and legal.
Yeah.
And then for escrow, that is where the money is being held and being dispersed and all the things related to money.
Mhm.
It's important that you're finding a trusted escrow company who is bonded, insured, and are reputable. And I think it's really even better if this insurance company handles these types of cases and are
Mhm.
well versed in what their systems are.
Mhm.
And so they do kind of go hand in hand a little bit. Once you get your gestational surrogacy agreement completed, escrow should be receiving a copy of it so that they know how to appropriately pay out your disbursements and what those guidelines are. And that's a protection for intended parents and for the surrogate.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think it's important to note that, your attorney needs to be an art attorney.
Yeah.
It just has to be. There's so many nuances and things that really need to be considered in a gestational surrogacy agreement. So making sure that your attorney is an art licensed attorney.
That's very true. There have been many a times where a surrogate will want, ask like, "Hey, we have a friend who's an attorney, or we have a family attorney for whatever reason, and can we just use them?" And really, it's just not best practice,
Yeah.
unless this person somehow naturally is already involved in the art world. They don't know what they don't know, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, So, some agencies keep everything in-house, meaning they have in-house attorneys, they have an in-house escrow service. There's tons of agencies actually that do literally all of it under one roof. So why is it important to keep them separate? And then why specifically does Family Choice really kind of focus on that?
So I kind of was alluding to it a minute ago, but really it just helps to protect or prevent any conflicts of interest. For example, with family choice surrogacy, especially with Leah being the agency owner and director, I think things would be very difficult if she also had to wear the hat of an attorney or also had to wear the hat of the escrow agent because she is communicating to both the intended parents and to the surrogate. And I just think having those communications with both parties can create some biases.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not fair to either client. And we want these clients to be represented based off their needs and what is important to them in a clear, distinct way. Um, I mean, I just, we became surrogacy agency individuals for a reason. We didn't get a nice, lovely, education as an attorney
Yes.
or go and learn all these financial things. We know enough to be dangerous and we know enough to help give good guidance. But I think that you are going, the intended parents and the surrogate should and want to put their trust into individuals where they live and breathe this information and have studied it and know every inch of it and
Mhm.
whatever. Um, also, having escrow, like they know when things are going to be in line with the contract to distribute the
Mhm.
funds. They know if something should or shouldn't be distributed. And the surrogate can be supported appropriately. The intended parents will have transparency with
Mhm.
their funding. I mean, surrogacy is so expensive. It's a lot of money coming in that pool. And so they want to work with someone who is trusted and
Mhm.
knowledgeable and advocating for them as well. Um, so I just think having the agency removed from it avoids a lot of sticky, uncomfortable conversations that don't need to really happen in
Yeah.
the realm of what we do. It also can add accountability and oversight by having these independent professionals. Again, we are managing a whole lot of things in a surrogacy journey as the agency. And the thought of having to be really fine tooth observing and looking at an escrow account or really, really, really honing in on the specific details of a contract, I just don't see how we could do that for every single
Mhm.
person. Um, the team would look awfully different, I would say.
Yeah.
But again, we don't have that type of background and means, and why not let the people who are super professionals in these fields be those ones to best represent you and help you through those times?
Yeah.
And they want to advocate for you and be that provider for you. Um, it's important to them to have a smooth journey experience as well.
Yeah. And I mean, even hiring on those people who are professionals, what does it matter if you do bring on attorneys who are experienced, but then they're still under the agency umbrella? What is, the concern there?
I think still that, like, if we had an attorney on the staff, in my honest opinion, I just don't see how that person could really keep a distinction. And I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think it would be great. I feel like they would know more than maybe your attorney who wasn't a part of the agency. I don't see how they wouldn't. And I again worry about potential biases or conflict. We say that our end goal is baby,
Hmm.
and we want to provide a very um, safe and ethical journey in order to achieve that goal. And so we want to help you find providers who we trust and who are vetted to help us be successful in that journey, and to support you. We give you recommendations. And so those recommendations are a reflection upon us. And we also want to take into account, like, if you don't have a great experience with our recommendations, so that we can adjust and figure out what was dropped, and then maybe they aren't recommended the next time, because we want someone who is in line with our values and our goals as well, and
Hmm.
treats our clients with the same respect and everything that we feel is important.
Yeah.
Um,
And, ultimately, if we're controlling the money, if we're hiring an attorney and we're paying them, there's an argument that it could be a conflict of interest, that they're
right.
they're representing more the agency than they are
Yes.
the intended parents or the surrogate or whatever party they should be representing.
Yeah.
So really it's just preventing a major conflict of interest. And
Right.
same with escrow. It's just really important that they are a neutral, unbiased third party.
Yeah, and I don't know. I hate saying this because I don't, have a case to compare it to, so I don't want to say like this happens, but I kind of think it probably does in some places. By using a third party escrow company, they have to provide transparency and disclosures and protections for their clients. And
Mhm.
I just have to wonder if the escrow is being held via the agency, would they be kind of making up whatever rules they wanted to make up? And
Mhm.
would they be as open and transparent with you about what's in the account and the funding and how it's being distributed? Would it be very meticulous and cared for in the way that an art escrow agency does?
Sure. Oh, and I'm excited. I can see comments. Leah chimed in that an attorney is there to represent their client, whereas an agency is there to provide objective support for all parties in the journey. So that's exactly it. The attorney is being hired to
Do their job.
show, yeah, to do their job for that person. So they're
Yeah,
going to sit there and fight for the intended parents as they should. And they're going to, other on the other side of the aisle, are going to fight for the surrogate as they should. whereas that is not always our job.
Right. And again, we want to have end goal the baby, and we want to protect both parties and represent both parties in order to achieve the goal that everybody wants.
Hmm.
And I can't fathom how we could do that well if we were mingling in and all those other things that are very, very emotionally sensitive.
Yes. Yes. Yep. It's very, very important to keep them, and to allow a diversification of
Yes.
providers as well,
Yeah,
not
we will
only.
always provide at minimum 2 to 3 providers for attorney representation and escrow. We don't want you to feel pigeonholed into one provider over another. There's no financial gain to us on your selection of who you end up working with.
Hmm.
We are providing trusted, reputable providers to you, and then we do want you to take the time to vet those providers to whatever capacity you feel is necessary and comfortable. And if that's finding reviews, do it. If that's
Yeah.
calling and setting up a meeting to get how you feel with them, do it.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, we support that and want you there. We're just trying to give you a safe starting ground because there's only a million different kinds of attorneys that you could probably choose from.
Yeah.
And it can be very overwhelming trying to figure out where in the world do I start.
And, something to kind of highlight that maybe it's maybe a little bit off topic, but in some of the more recent, I won't mention names, but kind of surrogacy scandals that have
Yes.
happened, it was a third party attorney who brought light of the severity of the situation and actually alerted authorities and kind of was the whistleblower on it. It was a third
Mm-hmm.
party attorney. And if we, routinely used attorneys under the same roof, that would get completely missed. It's important to keep us all responsible and ethical
Accountable.
in
Mm-hmm.
line. Yeah.
I
So,
totally agree.
yes.
I just feel like there's enough room at the table for all,
Hmm.
and everybody brings different knowledge and experience to said table, and we can only grow and benefit from each other's
Hmm.
special talents, and that's another important factor to it all too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on to really the benefits for surrogates specifically,
Mhm.
and we'll get into intended parents after that, but surrogates specifically, what is the benefit for them and what does it mean for their experience?
So when it comes to escrow in particular for the surrogate's benefit, she has this third party provider who is well established in their systems, and she can have a safe feeling that her payments are going to be guaranteed and on schedule, and that the agreement is going to be utilized for clear expectations of her
Mhm.
payments. Also, one of our most widely utilized providers, they have a portal, and I think that's amazing that the surrogate has access to submit her own request for disbursements and also to have access to know, when the pay schedule is and what to expect. And then they have a point of contact. She has
Mhm.
someone she can reach out to if something isn't correct, if she doesn't know how to submit something. We are still here as the agency, and she's always welcome to come and speak with us if she needs assistance with her portal or her disbursement request,
Mhm.
or not understanding a certain payout for whatever reason, or if she was having difficulty connecting, we can step in and help advocate for her during that time.
Mhm.
But I think that's a huge benefit is just being able to have the access to the account, having access to an understanding of what those payment schedules are going to look like, knowing when your payment is being dispersed,
Mhm.
all of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when it comes to the attorneys, really, I think the benefit is that your attorney is focused on you
Mhm.
and your needs in this journey and is advocating on your behalf and is listening to your concerns and protecting your health and your rights and your time. And so they're looking at it at the lens of, what this woman needs, and how to best advocate that for her and how to take that information back to the IP's attorneys and,
Mhm.
fight for her on her behalf, to try and get those needs met. And their focus is her. They're not having to focus on anyone else. I mean,
Yeah.
they have other clients, but like she is their responsibility at
Mhm.
the time, and there's no
Mhm.
mingling between two parties. The attorney's fighting for her rights and the other attorney's fighting for the intended parents' rights.
Yeah. And they're focused on creating the surrogacy contract, which is the foundation for the entire surrogacy journey. It's what
Exactly.
the case manager will go on to reference every single time
Yeah.
the surrogate has a question. It's what escrow will use. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ultimately, I
it's,
just think it creates emotional peace of mind.
yeah.
Having everybody in the right seat doing their jobs to help secure two very critical and important components of your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, moving over to the other side of the aisle, what about intended parents and how does, of course, having, having benefits help them? How does having escrow and attorney be third party benefit them?
Yes. So again, we'll start with escrow. I talked about this not too long ago, but this is not a cheap endeavor. Intended parents are putting significant life savings and money into this journey, and they need to know that it's being safe and it's secured. And if something horrific happened, it's insured. They need to know it's in trusted hands, and they also need to know that the escrow team is advocating for their contract and following the guidelines that they all agreed upon and distributing appropriately. And if they see an error, they need to have support to be able to connect back and say, hey, I don't understand why that was paid out, or that didn't seem right. Can you explain that to me and help me understand? Um, yeah, and they just need to know their money's safe, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is where our bottom line comes down to. Most people only get one opportunity to really do this,
Mm-hmm.
when if they have the opportunity at all. And so we don't want their money to be mishandled and that opportunity ripped away from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to the legal benefits for our intended parents, really, again, we're just looking for that clarity of protection for their parental rights,
Mm-hmm.
and that they feel that they are in this journey and that they have a say in what protections are there for them and this baby, and what's going to happen, at certain milestones of this journey. And they even have to identify, like, not to get dark here, but if something were to happen to them during this
Mm-hmm.
process, who will care for their child?
Yeah.
And so, there's significant components for the intended parents to have a say in their gestational surrogacy agreement. It's just equally as important to them as it is their surrogate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And basically, again, just all those extra layers of transparency. They don't have to wonder if Leah, Christy, and Mariah are balancing our own interest or theirs. They know that they are being represented and cared for, and the things that need to happen are happening. And we are taking care of all the other things that are important too, and there to support if they need additional support.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. These are super great, really thorough. I think it's important to really just like consider and take into account, if you look at any type of investment, which essentially this is until there's
100%.
baby, it's an investment. You're diversifying your funds, you're putting them all in different places and making sure that there's checks and balances to kind of
Mm-hmm.
even everything out. So it's just really, truly an important aspect of it. Now, uh, let's talk about someone just starting out. How can they make sure that they're working with reputable legal and escrow providers? Like, how do they know that they're the right ones? Or, of course, we've seen some scandals
I
again
know.
with escrow. So, how do they know, and what can they look for?
Yeah. I think, whether you're with us or with a different agency, or maybe even if you're going independent for that matter, start by collecting resources. Ask your agency for a reputable list of the attorneys that would be applicable to you in that situation, and what are recommended, the top three escrow agencies that have been around and have done great work, etc. Don't just pick some kind of weirdo startup situation that doesn't have a strong history.
Mm-hmm.
um, Escrow and legal is not where you want to cut corners.
Yep. And insurance.
No, and insurance, yeah. Like, we'll figure out some other cutting corners maybe, but
Yep.
those really are the three we got to be real firm on,
Mm-hmm.
and pick safe individuals, and representation. But if you're a part of any kind of surrogacy support page or group, that's always a great place to advocate and ask, hey, who did you use? Who did you like?
Mm-hmm.
What was good? What was bad? Tell me all the details. Do a little search bar researching. Once you get a like kind of a running list of who you want to connect with or who you are interested in,
Mm-hmm.
go to their websites, go into their contact page, set up a call, set up a meeting in person or on Zoom. Like there's so many things we can
Mm-hmm.
do digitally right now. I just highly recommend talking to them, going through their website from start to finish, getting a clear understanding of who these individuals are, how are they protecting you and your investment,
Mm-hmm.
and how well they communicate. I think communication is key. A lot of things could be avoided and things could be corrected quickly if there's strong communication between the provider and you.
Mm-hmm.
So finding someone you feel like you can communicate well with is a big point, I believe. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think,
just
of
doing the
course,
research.
yeah, doing the research. And I mean, I can't help but shamelessly plug seeds, making sure that they're
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
working with
Sorry.
seeds. No, it's great. I think it's just one of those things people tend to kind of forget about is
Yes.
that, hey, you can go check the seeds website and see if they're a
Hmm.
seeds member. And this is an organization that makes sure we're all abiding by ethical boundaries and ensuring that, we're all collaborating together. A lot of the times, if somebody is a part of seeds, they're willing to work with other professionals in the field, especially if there's a difficult situation. They're willing to, they have a network of
Yes.
people to reach out to and to discuss kind of these things and how to best handle them and the best way to go about it. Um,
Absolutely.
so,
We, as agency members and people, especially a part of SEEDS, we want to protect surrogacy
mhm,
and we want it to be around forever and as an option of family growth. And so we come together to support each other
mhm,
and to help keep things ethical and maintain integrity. And so highly recommend utilizing seeds.
mhm,
Sometimes I feel like seeds isn't fully like advertised enough out there in
mhm.
the world for people to truly know it exists and its resources and potential. But that is a great recommendation, Mariah.
Yeah. Couple comments. Sandra said, take your time researching agencies and good clinics. Yes,
100%.
absolutely.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
mhm,
The surrogate doesn't have a whole lot of say in the clinic situation because,
Sure.
at that point she's already matched and the intended parents have selected their clinic. But yes,
Mhm,
intended parents really take your time to research clinics. It's hard. I can't even imagine how that process feels and going through it and finding the right one and the good fit. But, get an understanding of what their protocol is for
mhm,
transfer and what they have to require for the GC and make sure that that aligns with what you believe in
mhm,
and what you feel comfortable doing. Because it's hard when you get to the point of transfer or the point of matching and you fall in love with someone and you want to work with her, and then your
mhm,
clinic is like, actually, we have certain requirements and she's not cutting it despite
mhm,
on paper she's a great surrogate candidate.
mhm. Yeah. And some clinics go above and beyond ASRM guidelines and have their
Sure.
own policies. And ultimately, a lot of the times we're kind of hands are tied there. But
It is.
um, did you cover, I think you did, the escrow provider for how they can choose a good escrow provider?
Oh, I did not. I apologize. I missed
No,
that one.
that's okay. I was just making sure I didn't miss it.
Yes, yes. With the escrow company, it's just very important you're finding people and or agents who are licensed and insured.
hmm
Um, for example, Seed Trust, are they 1 million? What are they at on their recent change of their
100?
insurance? 100 million? I don't know.
100
It's a lot. I think,
I think it's 100 million.
yeah, it is like an insanely
Mhm.
crazy number, and they
Can
just
pull it up.
ended up secured that new amount.
hmm
Um, but that's huge. I mean, they're really
100 million. I
truly,
just looked it up.
there you are, 100
hmm
million people. They are truly protecting their client's investment.
hmm
And again, you likely already know the crazy
hmm
scandals of surrogacy and escrow
hmm
in the past year or whatever we're on now. I don't think it's been more than a year. But, anyways,
Yeah,
um, that was devastating to the community.
it was. It was.
Absolutely devastating. And for example, Seed Trust is taking all the steps they can to prevent that ever being something that takes place
hmm
in their world.
hmm
And there are other escrow agencies out there who we feel comfortable with and believe that they are, great options as well. And so
Sure.
again, we're not trying to promote one or the over other on this call, but do your
Yeah.
research. Find
Yeah.
out what their credentials are. Find out how your investment is going to be protected
Hmm.
and what, again, the communication looks like, what access you have as the intended parent, what access you have available as the surrogate, and does that feel comfortable to you? Is that adequate or do you need more? And then
Yeah.
go find the agency that can give you what is at your comfort level.
Yeah, and he'll be willing to talk to you about this because
Yeah.
I never mind whenever I have somebody who says, "Hey, tell me about this escrow company," or "Hey, which attorney have you worked with the most?" I get that one often. Which attorney is constant? Are you
Yeah.
constantly working with? Because then they have a ton of experience. Things like that. So, Leah, what about attorneys who hold escrow? That's a great question. Oh,
Sorry, I
you
didn't mean
still
to pause.
there?
Yes, my bad.
Okay. You're
Uh,
okay. Did you hear Leah's question?
I did, and honestly, I don't know that I know the right answer for that. So
That's
I'm going
okay.
to phone a friend if you know it,
Yeah.
or
So attorneys who hold escrow, essentially, it's kind of a similar situation, really. As long as they're not your attorney, it should be okay, or the
Mhm.
intended parent's attorney, it should be okay as long as they're, reputable and they have again the assurances in place. It's not as common anymore that you see attorneys hold
Yeah.
escrow, um, but for the most part, unless they're very knowledgeable about it, it's just usually not the greatest idea, especially if one of the attorneys is representing one of the parties in the contract.
Again,
Um,
conflict of interest.
mhm. Yeah, it's the crossover between all of them, just like we have, um, yes, shouldn't represent either party. And it's just like the crossover with, psych or anything else. You
Mhm.
really should be using an outside provider who does not have potential bias in the agency or is swaying the
Yes.
influx or the inflow of money into the agency. So, um, same thing with attorneys holding escrow. You wouldn't want them interpreting a contract in favor of their client. So,
That's true. That
yes.
makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, couple questions in case anybody on the call wants to talk about. Um, has anybody worked with third-party escrows? Who have they worked with? What have their experiences been? And how would you feel about your agency holding escrow as well? Those are kind of our little hot topics that we can throw out, and if people feel like answering, they can. Um, but really, the takeaway for this call is that surrogacy is built on trust, and it really helps build that foundation of trust when the legal and financial protections are handled outside of the agency as opposed to all being under one roof.
I agree. While we wait to see if anybody responds, I hadn't really thought about this in a long time, but it came up this past weekend. I was having a phone call with my first intended mother. I did two journeys since I was talking to her, and we were just talking. She mentioned she's in a intended parent support page, and she just can't
Mhm.
believe after so many years since our journey has passed, all the different struggles that people have gone through, and she just felt like things have just feel different and feel like there's a lot more hoops, if you will.
Mhm.
And I said, absolutely. I think so too. Like things have changed drastically in
Yeah.
my eyes since I was a surrogate. And I said, for one, the compensation. And she said, oh my gosh, yes. And she talked about, what she paid all in for our journey so many years ago.
Mhm.
And I said, well, that's a whole lot different than it is now. And she goes, you got, XYZ. And I said, oh no. I got la la la, which was like half of what she thought I got.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh, that makes me feel very kind of worried because, again, sitting back thinking about it, my agency held escrow. And
Yes.
I'm not saying bad things happen, and I'm hoping it was
No.
just a simple mistake in her remembrance of our agreement. I hope, right?
Oh my gosh. You'd send me
Kind
down a rabbit hole at that point.
of makes me want to go on a rabbit hole.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I was like, oh no. I said, maybe, you think that because you had to provide my health insurance because I was TRICARE.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, that would have been an added expense, but it wasn't to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow.
And so that was kind of interesting.
That would certainly spark some, yeah, interest for me as well. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness.
I was like, please tell me they were not led to believe something was happening and it wasn't.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It's hard. You can't know. You can't know because if
I
you're in
know.
control of it, there's no way to know.
I know. I also think it had in-house attorneys.
Oh, Christy.
I was so I'm
The
not like I had
seven
no knowledge.
surrogacy sins.
I know. I didn't know.
I know. None of us knew. None of us knew. I think in my journey, again, hindsight 2020, it was fine, but my attorney was a family law attorney who
Yeah.
just liked to dabble in the surrogacy side of
Mm,
things. Which, again, fine, but there were some things that were missed in my contract that probably wouldn't have been had I
yeah,
been an art attorney. Um, but I think it's very, surrogacy it changes by the day. I mean, literally by the day. We are constantly changing things. I think we update our benefits package every 5 minutes. Our agency agreement, we're constantly changing these things to be better and strive for better in this field and in this industry. But what we do now is going to be drastically different in the next 5 years, especially.
I agree. And we have to constantly
Mm-hmm.
be making these adjustments to protect the intended parents and the surrogates at all costs, at any, when we get educated on something or learn a better way, that's what we do. We want to make this experience and this journey safe. And
Yeah,
yeah, so we'll do all the adjustments if it means y'all are
yes,
having a better, safer, more ethical journey.
absolutely. Yep. I see another comment. Leah, she has a typo, and I really just want to read the typo
I
because
was,
it's
yeah,
funny.
I was reading. I was like, I don't know what that really means, and so I'm really glad
She's
she corrected
trying
the
to
typo.
say a reputable escrow provider gives access to intended parents at all times for every transaction. What
Yes,
she did say is a reputable escrow provider gives access to the Atenna appearance.
that's a new term for my escrow knowledge.
I love it. That's really funny. I bet you I sometimes when I use speak to text it gives me some funny
Oh
words. But
yes.
yes, absolutely. Reputable escrow provider allows intended parents to see what is being paid out because sometimes we're paying things as the agency.
Hmm.
I'm jumping on and paying a fee from outside monitoring, or I'm
Hmm.
paying a fee from who knows what. There's tons of different things.
That are not in the
Um,
contract. Like
mhm.
the contract says so many things, but some of these, and
Some of these just fall
expenses,
under
just
medical expenses. It's
right
just an
and
umbrella. Hmm.
right.
Hmm. Yeah. Or understanding when it was paid, or you know what we just had that was really cool with escrow is a journey that closed out before I've been on, and I've been here coming up on a year.
Yeah.
The journey had closed out before I came on, and just last week, escrow reached out and said, "Hey, we were just refunded $4,000 to this
I
account,"
saw that email. Yeah. What came out of that?
and the surrogate, we reached out to surrogate reached out to her medical providers and insurance, and they said nope, it was an overcharge and we refunded
Oh
it
my
to you guys, and then
gosh.
it goes back to the intended parents, which,
That's
like,
amazing.
that was something that they have the ability and the access to see where it would go back and make sure it went back to the right place, and it what a what a little bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a baby, 4,000 means a lot.
Yeah,
There are
absolutely.
plenty of expenses. That's incredible.
That's a tax return, like who
Mhm.
knows? So,
That's
pretty
great.
cool. But yeah, there's lots of benefits to having third party escrow, third party attorneys.
Remind me, did you have third party escrow?
I did. I
Okay.
did. It
Was
was
there, you did or did not? I'm sorry.
I did. It was the dreaded scandal.
It was?
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly. I don't know if I realized that.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize it either until funny, like, I don't know, after everything started coming out, I was like, who was my escrow? And I pulled up my
Mm,
email and I was like, oh my gosh. And we had an Excel spreadsheet with all of our,
yeah.
that's how they used to track everything when I did
Hmm.
it a long time ago. And so I was like, we better pull up the Excel spreadsheet and make sure that you didn't lose any money.
Hmm.
But it was no longer active. So Yeah, pretty crazy.
Fun times.
Yes.
Well, if you can look at it from the lens of when it was happening in real life and not what you know
Hmm.
now, was
Right.
there anything that gave you peace of mind when it came to, the escrow and your contract and payments and just, just everything?
I pushed for escrow. I did an independent journey, and my intended parents said, "Oh, we'll just transfer the money directly to your account." And
Mm.
I, at the time, was like, I really trust them, and I really love them, and I still do. By all means, please don't take that anyway. But like, um, I have seen what can go so wrong, and I have seen when there's a dispute. Hey, this got paid out, and we don't believe that should be paid out. Well, ultimately, it comes back down to what's the contract say, and if the contract says it should be paid out, it should be paid out.
Mhm.
And I've seen people still be unhappy about that and continue to fight it. And guess what? If the money's owed, the money's owed, regardless of how unhappy you are about it.
And
And that's
that's a
really
solid
important.
point.
Hmm. Yeah.
There are definitely people who will go that extra step that you realize was not going to be safe
Hmm.
and be like, well, I know these people, or I trust these people, or they want this, I want this, we're all on the same page, nothing bad can happen.
Hmm.
Bad things can happen.
Hmm.
Really,
Yeah.
really bad things. And it's no one's intention, we hope,
Hmm.
going into it. But if something goes wrong, or miscommunication takes place, or emotions get really, really
Hmm.
heated, things can happen and you may not get your money. And if you had involved an actual escrow, servicer, that
Yeah.
would be a whole different situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, well, I think we're at our limit, and I think we have no further questions, it does not seem, but I really enjoyed our conversation tonight, as I always do.
Me too. I love these, and I
Um,
love that we're again almost coming up on a whole year of doing them.
yeah,
And I just feel like each one we are talking about such great discussion points and
I know.
having feedback with individuals, and I don't know, they're just great. I love them.
Yeah. If you guys ever have any topic requests, please feel free to mention them. We would love it.
Yes.
Thank you for joining and watching. Thank you for listening to us yap. We're professional yappers.
Yes, we are.
Um, we're really good at it. Um, and our next episode will be September 30th.
That's
And
correct.
that one is going to be how to effectively communicate between intended parents and surrogates.
Yes.
Um, and I'm really excited. That'll be a great one.
Yeah, I love that topic so much.
Yeah.
Communication in all relationships is so important,
Yes.
especially in your surrogacy journey. And we want to help give you any tips and tricks on how to set yourself up for success once you
Yes.
become matched.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, thank you all for being here. And thanks, Christy, for jumping on this, even though you're solo.
Solo.
They did great. They hardly
I
bothered you.
one interruption, and he
Yeah,
did apologize, and then I don't know what he even wanted. So
it was
it was
minimal.
it was polite. I will take a
Yeah,
polite interruption.
it was great. We love it.
And
And we're
only one dog
all,
bark.
and yep, well, my husband went and blocked and barricaded off the
Mm.
window, so you can't see out, but it worked out. So,
Awesome.
all right. Well, good night, everyone. Thanks for
Have a good night.
watching.
Bye.
Bye.